Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, where we do our best to give you useful information in 20 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, five-time Voice Arts Awards nominee, David Brower.
Thanks, Alan. This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast. Our special guest from Wheeling, West Virginia is Sherrie Dunlevy. She's an author, speaker, and what she calls an inspirationista. I had to practice that, and I still didn't get it right. Sherrie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. I'm delighted to be here today.
So, inspirationista. I like that. What is that? What does that mean?
Well, I'm one of these people that never really thought about my mission in life until my son died. And someone asked us about 5 years ago to write a mission statement. And my mission statement was to learn, to grow, to share, and to inspire.
Wow.
And then I thought, there's no really job description for that. So I just made one up. It's called an inspirationista.
I like it. Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
It always amazes me in so many areas of life, what happens to us, good, bad, and different, our history, our tragedies. It seems like everything gives us an opportunity to help other people in some meaningful way, you know?
I truly believe that. I believe that you have a choice, that you can either, go with the flow of asking the question, okay, what now? That really wasn't in my plans, but what now?
Right.
Or you can stand strong in your conviction of this isn't how it should be.
Yeah.
When you stand in that power, a lot of times you can break. A lot of times it takes you out, and that's negative because you can't live someplace that doesn't exist, and my son didn't live. So I had to figure out how to live without him.
Yeah. How did that work? How did that happen? What did you do?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was very good at playing the victim prior to his death, really.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I was more half glass empty than half glass full, which is so funny because it's like, how can I be more positive after the worst thing in my life has ever happened? And I'm still trying to figure that out. I credit a lot of that to faith.
Yeah.
Someone wrote me a sympathy card, and I think this is what turned the light on for me. They wrote in that card that in my son's short life, which was only 29 days, that he had more people praying on his behalf than most people ever do in their lifetime, bringing that many people to the Lord. And his mission was accomplished and he was called back home. And I thought, wow, some of us can accomplish our mission in 29 days. And then I'm still living. So what is my mission? And that's when I started thinking about it. So I think that those words stuck with me. And after I, did a little more healing,
Sure.
I looked at it and I thought, okay, this is my journey. What is my mission? Let's figure this out and let's live it.
I am recovering from a giant case of goosebumps.
Really?
Yeah. When you shared that story about the sympathy card and the words and the prayer teams and the 29 days and wow.
Yeah. And so my son had a lot of power and accomplished a lot of work in 29 days.
Absolutely. Right. And now you've picked up the mantle and you're figuring out ways to help people get through all kinds of different things. With your book. It's an Amazon bestseller. It's been named one of the top 25 best self-help books for men. And the book is How Could I Help? It's fascinating to me. I haven't read it, obviously, but your go-to guide for helping loved ones through life's difficulties. And the subtitle, it just goes, oh, okay. All right. Sherrie can help me. Let's go.
Right. I wrote this book. The reason I wrote it is because there's all kinds of books to help the person that's going through the trouble.
Right.
Whether it's death or divorce or unemployment or cancer diagnosis or whatnot.
Yeah.
But there is not a book to help the people that love those people and desperately want to help them but don't know what to do.
Wow.
And that's why I wrote this book.
That's freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And to get the kind of reviews and positive comments about your book, the best-selling, I mean, there's some huge payoffs there of how you're helping people that you don't even know, right?
Right. And I didn't write it for the payoffs. I wrote it because when we were going through one of the most difficult times of our
Mhm.
life,
You bet.
my husband and I actually lost some of our closest friends.
Oh, wow.
So that was devastating to us. So that was a double loss.
Yeah.
And I thought about it over the years. And as I became healthier through my healing, I thought, why isn't there some kind of resource for people that if they don't know what to do, if they're afraid of doing the wrong thing, they're afraid they're going to make you cry, or they don't know what to do, or sometimes it hits too close to home. You hear a lot of people that get a cancer diagnosis and people just disappear. It's like they're contagious or something.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think it's because it's people are acting out of fear. So my motto is step out in love and make it about that other person. Don't make it about you.
I love it.
And if you don't know what to do, here's a list. Find something. Here are some suggestions. Find something that resonates with you and do it. And they're not my suggestions. I was a reporter and a news anchor for many years.
Mhm.
And so I surveyed hundreds of people that have gone through some of life's most difficult things. And I asked them, what did people do to help you through this? What do you wish they would have done?
There you go.
What was the most helpful thing? What were things that weren't so helpful? I don't say wrong, because in my opinion, the only wrong thing that you can do is nothing.
Correct.
If you have great intentions and loving intentions, even if you mess things up, it can still be loving. I remember I had when I was on television at the time that I lost my son, and we were surrounded by a lot of younger people, and there was a young reporter just out of college, so 22, 23 years old.
Mhm.
And he knew that you were supposed to send, flowers or something. And he's standing outside the church after the funeral before we get in the limousine to go to the cemetery. And he hands me a potted plant. Now,
Really?
that probably wasn't the most appropriate, quote unquote, appropriate thing,
Right.
but it was so meaningful. I mean, it still means so much to me that he thought, I want to do something. I don't know what to do. Maybe this will make it a little better. You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah.
And it was awkward, and by man's standards, that wasn't the right thing to do, but it was a beautiful gesture.
What I love about that is oftentimes we don't know what we don't know, but when we speak or when we step out in love and authenticity, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
It doesn't
Just
matter.
show your heart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely right. So is that what your book is helpful with? Helping people show their heart or how to receive other people's hearts?
Well, I wrote it for the people that want to help their loved ones, for friends. I don't know what to do. My cubicle mate, her husband just left her. I don't know what to say. I don't know
Yeah.
something like that, about how you want to help people, but you're not really sure what to do. This is a book that's full of suggestions. It goes chapter by chapter through each difficulty. There's the whole chapter on death. There's a whole chapter on divorce and whatnot. So it's just written where you can read it straight through, or you can go right to your chapter and go, okay, what can I do now that can help?
And beyond the book, you have some spare time in your life, so you're a speaker. You write your blog. You
Mhm.
got other things going on your website, SherrieDunlevy.com. It says, "Hey there, I'm thrilled you stopped by. I can't wait to share with you a little bit about myself, my journey, my mission to help people love better, look better, live better." I love that. Just love.
Thank you.
I'm seeing T-shirts.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I am not blessed with the artistic bug.
Okay, fair enough. And you also do some webinars, right?
I do webinars, and in fact, I do a podcast like you do. I have a group on Facebook called All Things Awesome,
Right.
And it is the culmination of being a recovered news anchor. For so many years, I brought the worst of the world into your life.
Yeah.
And now this is a place where you can go on Facebook to find only the good stuff. You're not going to find the politics. You're not going to find the animal abuse. You're not going to find the homeless. And not that we don't, but we don't, that comes into our life. Whether you watch the news or not, you know what's going on, but you can't find those individuals that are quietly out doing wonderful things in the world.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that. So I gather that, and I have a group of people that just pour into that group, and then they share out of that group.
Wow.
So that we can get more positivity into the world. But I have just been asked to host a podcast for Grief Anonymous. So that's my newest project that I'm working on. Yeah. So that's even prior to us setting up our interview. That just happened. So that's an exciting new turn too, because I'll be able to help a lot of people have hope and healing.
Second dose of goosebumps. So that's awesome. So are you going to become a positivanista?
Oh, maybe. I like that.
Yeah.
Positivanista. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to write that down, David.
Absolutely. So on your website, of course, you can get the book. You can connect with you to speak to people, arrange interviews, web TV, your Inspirationista blog, lots of things going on. And what I love about it is not only does it show pictures of you with joy and pictures with you with groups creating joy and sharing joy, it just feels good,
Oh, thank you.
Just feels good. And you can't always say that about websites.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And it's one that, I built myself. When you work in local media, you just don't have a lot of funds.
Well, true. Absolutely right.
And when the book came out, I was asking for guidance and I was asking for direction. And I said, what should I be doing? I have so many things on my plate, please, because I really do feel like that book was divinely inspired.
Yeah.
Because I kept looking for it. And every time I'd come off of Amazon or Google or out of Barnes and Noble, I would get this message: go ahead and keep looking, but it's not going to happen until you write it.
Gosh, I love that.
And I'm like, oh boy, I never set out to be an author,
Right.
So when I was praying, because the book came out and I had started a business and I had started speaking and I was still doing my radio show daily. And I'm like, God, please, I need signs for dummies. I really do. Like, I don't even have time to discern all this. And 3 days later, my boss comes out and he said, we're not firing you, but we're switching our format. And as long as you want to talk about sports and politics, you have a job here. And I thought, well, this is my sign.
Yeah.
Because my show was the sports-free, politics-free zone.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh my gosh. It is so interesting to me how things present themselves and you either pay attention or you don't. And so to be open to those kinds of things is not everybody can do that, And if you have great faith, strong faith, the ability to be open to what's out there and what God wants to share with you, wow, the world can change as it has for you.
It has. And you know what? It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And the world is a beautiful place and it's filled with beautiful people. But if you keep looking in the wrong places, you're not going to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that has to do, I would think, we're going so fast, as you well know, and we don't have time to blow our nose or have lunch with our dog or anything like that. And we're just going. And a lot of us carry fear with us that we may or may not be aware of. And you've got some opportunities to really touch some people and help them get their toe in the water, at least, to feel better about themselves and their circumstance,
You know what? You described that absolutely perfectly. Because I don't see myself as an Oprah or a Tony Robbins or a Joel Osteen or anybody, like to that. I see myself as a Johnny Appleseed, as someone who is really explaining some of these thoughts and ideas to people who may be hearing them for the very first time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's okay. And that is just absolutely fine. That's where God wants me. That's where I'm going to be.
That's it. And tell me about the podcast that's going to come up. Is it griefshare.com? Is that what you said?
No, it's called Grief Anonymous.
Grief Anonymous.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Grief Anonymous.
So tell me about that. How's that podcast going to work?
It is going to be Grief Anonymous is an organization that's kind of roughly modeled after Alcoholics Anonymous or any of those multi-step programs, but it has steps all of its own towards the grieving process. And its founder, Holly Barker, I met her through LinkedIn, and we just started a conversation. And the next thing I know, she was on my other podcast that I do, my All Things Awesome Interviews podcast. And that's when she said, "You know what? I really, for my organization, want to start a podcast. Would you be the person to do that?"
Yeah.
I prayed about it. I'm thinking, oh, that's one more thing on my plate. But I thought, because I had told many people, I don't want to live in the world of grief. I'm an empath. I take that on. That's why I call myself a recovering news anchor. Once my son died, I could no longer compartmentalize what was going on in the world and what was going on in my life. All of a sudden, it was all one.
Absolutely.
And it became too overwhelming. And that's why I had to leave that career. I liked that career, but I had to leave it. I could not do it. And so I thought, how can I do this without taking on the sadness of everyone else? And the message that I got was that you're not supposed to stay in that world. You are supposed to be the light for hope and healing.
That's the word. Those are the words. In fact, I'm looking at the Grief Anonymous website. Mm-hmm. Embrace grief, embrace healing, embrace life. Yeah. And that's powerful. I mean, obviously it goes right along with where your heart is, and it's going to be in your spare time, going to be a huge addition to what they're doing. And your podcast is on Facebook, All Things Awesome. Is that right?
It's on Facebook, and it's also, on Apple and,
all the usual places.
All the usual places, yes. And what I do there is I interview ordinary people who are just like you and me, but they have chosen to live their life in extraordinary ways.
Yeah. Wow.
And we are all capable of doing that, by the way.
Aren't we? Well, we are. I could.
We are.
More. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely right. And but sometimes, most of the time, probably, we get so wrapped up in, wow, I got to keep this job. I need this paycheck. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. Got to do that. And don't take time enough to breathe. And you keep going in that rat race, and so it's such a blessing when things like this book come along and get somebody's attention somewhere where they get at least an aha moment, if not an epiphany, and go, how can I help? I need help. I need help. I need to talk to Sherrie. So,
well, you know what? That's the name of my next book is I Need Help. I need your help. So we're on the same wavelength here.
Absolutely right. Hey, if people want to reach out to you with your webinars or your Facebook page, or what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, on Facebook, I'm Sherrie Dunlevy. I'm Sherrie Dunlevy, Sherrie. Mm-hmm. That's a different spelling.
It is.
Dunlevy. Sherrie Dunlevy. On Instagram, on LinkedIn, and Facebook. My page, if anyone, I have people from, I think, 6 different countries that are a part of All Things Awesome, and it's not even a year old. So I'm very, very proud of that effort. If you want to join that, please just go to All Things Awesome in Facebook and join that group. And then, of course, I have my website, sherriedunlevy.com.
Yep, absolutely right. And there's all kinds of things on that website. And, of course, the book is on Amazon. Get in touch with Sherrie, Sherrie, Sherrie Dunlevy, DUNLEVY.com, and All Things Awesome on Facebook, and soon to come to Grief Anonymous podcast. So you have a very busy life of sharing your servant's heart. It's very exciting.
Well, thank you, David.
Been a pleasure to talk to you. Continued success, and keep up the good work, man. It's cool.
It was absolutely my pleasure, David. Thank you very much for letting me share my message and my mission.
Listen to Your 20-Minute Podcast with David Brower on the go. Downloads are available on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, any podcast app, and on our website at davidbrowervo.com/Your 20-Minute Podcast. Until next time, thank you for listening.